Alright, so today we are going to talk about environmental ethics. Environmental ethics is a philosophical discipline that considers the moral and ethical relationship of human beings to the environment. Now, the question I want to ask today is, do humans have any obligation to preserve and care for the environment? Alright, when doing research, I wanted to talk about a couple people. And in the reading that we did for class, I want to talk about Albert Schweitzer. His thought surrounded on basically the will to live, an impulse to self-realization found in all living things. Alright, Schweitzer asserts that all will to live are equal value and that human beings are not in a position to judge the relative value of different species. Now, I agree with what he's saying because I feel like humans are considered to be the superior species to others, but I feel like we have that obligation to take care and preserve and care for the environment because I feel like we can't put a value on all the different organisms, plants, animals that impact the world. To me, I feel like every animal has a specific role that impacts the environment, and each one is critical. So I don't feel like any species has a higher value. Another person I want to talk about is Aldo Leopold. He stated that a thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the community, and it is wrong when it tends otherwise. Now, I feel that is very important because I feel like that's kind of like my idea. As humans, I feel like we have the obligation to preserve that integrity, stability, and beauty of the environment. Okay, now moving on to, and I'm gonna read something from, where is it at? Where he talks about right here. It's Alcott. So it says, Caldecott elaborates on a theory of a nested community. And he says human beings exist in the center of a series of moral communities which fit one within the other as a series of nests with ethical obligations diminishing towards the outside. So human beings are at the core of this nest, and we have an obligation towards the outer levels of this core or nest to care for it and preserve it. And he states that it allows human concerns to trump those of the wild, but humans do have that moral obligation toward animals to make sure that they have the land still, that they have the food, that we're protecting them and not diminishing and destroying what was theirs in the first place. The next thing I want to talk about is my animal drawings. And I picked a dolphin, a wolf, a turtle, and a parrot because it's like the three components: sea, land, air, and we have made an impact on each of those levels of life, from air pollution to trash in the ocean to destroying habitats and taking over their land that they had first. And I feel like each level is very important, and our actions, what we have done, has impacted them. The next thing I want to talk about is the size of my drawings and how I guess I drew the animals the same size as the earth in the hand, and I put that because I feel like the world is like shrinking, not in like actual size, but the land that humans are taking over. When we first started, there was so much land to explore and adventure, but now that we've advanced, we're building faster and we're growing faster than ever before. And I feel like the actual, like the land is shrinking for the animals and their environment. So I feel like we're destroying and we're taking over, and we're putting down houses and malls and movie theaters and all these, but we're not seeing the impact that has on the environment and how we're destroying and driving out these animals from their homes. My inspiration for my drawing was my love for the environment. I love to go hiking and kayaking, snowboarding, and kind of related it back to our previous project on what is science and how humans are causing that sixth great extinction in Earth's history. And when doing research, we are presently losing dozens of species every day, according to the Center of Biological Diversity, and nearly 20,000 species of plants and animals are at a high risk of extinction. So, and also said on the Center of Biological Diversity when doing research that this is the highest rate of extinction daily, and it's alarming to the scientists and stuff because we're barely realizing the impact, and we're trying to make corrections to help preserve by setting up acts and stuff like the U.S. Wilderness Act, and trying to figure out new inventions and how to stop air pollution and other climate changes from happening, and trying to protect the environment. Lastly, the conversation and the hardest part of creating the piece. The hardest part was probably drawing because I'm not really good at drawing. So on the animals especially, I just had to use a YouTube videos on how to draw them and go step by step, even though they looked a little cartoonish. So it was for kids, so I thought that was really helpful for me since I have no artistic abilities. And then the conversation I had was one of my lifelong friends, and I was talking to him about it on how I feel like we have that obligation to preserve and protect the animals, while he is more of a hunter, and he says that he doesn't feel like we don't have that like absolute obligation to preserve and care for them. So it was more of a heated argument, but it was understanding. I mean, we came to a mutual agreement, I guess. He just said that he feels like animals were put on this place for, like, I guess as a food source, and that since we are the superior species, that we control what happens, and no matter what happens, as long as we're okay, then he says he's fine. So he doesn't look at how, he doesn't see it from my point of view, where I feel like each species is important and each has a job, and I feel like if we took one of those out, that the communities of species and the ecosystem, it would not make a huge shift, but you can see a shift in it. Like, I was telling him, if we got rid of snakes, then, you know, mice population and other small animals, their number would increase, so it would have an impact not just on them but on us too, because then mice would be everywhere and they would come into our houses, and yeah, there's other predators that could eat them. But I was just saying, like, even the smallest little changes can have a huge impact. So it was a good conversation I had with him, and I enjoyed it. So that was it. So